plunge our soul grind.
And what a story it will be to tell future generations. The blizzard has been called everything from the storm of the century to a hurricane with snow.
Official measurement here we're going to do for you right here on Charlotte Street. We're going to stick this ruler in and see what we've got. Definitely unofficial, just about 11 inches here, and it is still falling.
Another day off tomorrow. We do have some school closings to tell you about already for tomorrow, and it includes the Jefferson County Public Schools. There's no school tomorrow, and here's the list.
The post-holiday blues, the time where as a kid or adult, yesteryears are present, there is a sense of sadness that you know there is a gap, that there is nothing. No random days off during the week, no little breaks, just one straight run. But every once in a while there is a hope, a flake of desire, a snowflake that is. Hi, I'm Daniel, aka Snook. And let's take a sled ride down snow days of yesteryears. I don't know how everybody's area was, but in the Piedmont area of North Carolina, we didn't have snow all the time, so it was very uncommon for us. So the slightest little dusting would put us out of school for a day or two or even more. Back before internet was a common thing in everybody's household, or heck, even in the palm of your hand, we would have to sit there and watch TV for hours at a time, waiting, checking, and seeing if schools are going to close. Heck, even jobs at that time were posted on TV. And it wasn't a fast process. You would have to sit there for a while. It was a very slow scroll. And a lot of times you would zone out and miss it and have to start over again. And for whatever reason, my school district, it seemed like they always waited to the 11th hour to tell us if it was closed. So throughout the night, you'd be up, looking and sneaking to the TV to see if you were closed. And there it was, school closed. A celebration for a kid, and a little bit of worry for the parents if they still had to go to work. In my case, if mom and dad couldn't stay at home, I'd end up going to a set of grandparents. So I'd quickly rush and grab the necessities, movies, toys. Video games weren't as easy to hook up back in the day, especially if you had the original NES and the RF port. Those hefty TVs were very hard to get behind, and a lot of times had a bunch of cobwebs and dust bunnies, and a ton of cables and wires that probably went to absolutely nothing. And if you pulled the one, it probably was something. But boy, if we could get it hooked up, the memories of playing Super Mario 3's and the Ninja Turtle NES game, particularly the third one if my cousin was there, are some of my fondest video game memories. The joy of playing a video game on a morning you thought you'd be at school was like a dream come true. Majority of the time I would go to my grandparents next door, but on a rare occasion I would go to the other set of grandparents. There she had a tape, probably 4 or so episodes of Gumby, and had a very strict nap policy, which, heck, I would take a mandated nap nowadays. At the other grandparents, the morning was mine. In the younger days, we had a choice of Lion King or Aladdin. A little later on, it was the Star Wars Special Edition on VHS, the trilogy. I wasn't really a Star Wars kid growing up until this re-release happened. The Star Wars Special Edition release came for the 20th anniversary of the original. Originally released in theaters, George Lucas spent $10 million on the original film, reworking and added new special effects to it, which is also roughly what it cost to make the original version. I remember watching Return of the Jedi prior to the release of the Special Edition, but didn't become a huge fan until I started collecting the Power of the Force action figures, and my parents gave me the Special Edition trilogy on VHS. My go-to movie, though, on a snow day was A New Hope. It wasn't my favorite of the series, but if the snow days continued, I would do Empire Strikes Back the next day, and then Return of the Jedi. One of my favorite changes from the original version was Jabba the Hutt going from human to the sluggish-looking creature he was in Return of the Jedi. Once I finished up with the movie, I knew it was lunchtime, because we had early lunches at Grandma. We'll call her Grandma Snook for this. We had early lunches there, and that was for a reason. But usually, if I was lucky, we had kid cuisine in the freezer. And no, they weren't the best meals, but really, was any of the freezer meals that great? But it was the happy meal of the freezer section. A protein, 2 sides, and a dessert. Maybe a brownie, possibly some pudding. Could have got gypped and stuck with vegetables. On occasion, especially when I became a husky kid, which husky was a nice term of saying that you were chubby in the 90s, I would have a healthy choice flatbread pizza. And you want to talk about almost breaking your teeth every time you ate one of these. And for the drink, it always seemed like Grandma had Gatorade. And in the 90s, you really only had lemon, lime, orange, and fruit punch to choose from. And fruit punch was my favorite, but for whatever reason, Grandma usually had only lemon, lime in stock. Gatorade was originally 2 flavors, lemon, lime, and orange, and remained that way for nearly 20 years. In 1983, Gatorade released the 3rd flavor, fruit punch. In 1997, Gatorade introduced an initial subline, the Gatorade Frost, with 3 additional flavors, Glacier Freeze, Whitewater Splash, and Frost Alpine Snow. This has been your down the drain, useless info, straight from the sewer knowledge. After lunch, it was time for everybody's favorite co-babysitter. Yeah, nowadays you got Blippi, Miss Rachel, and Bluey, but back in the 90s, Bob Barker was everybody's favorite. I don't know what was so magical about The Price is Right, but it was something I looked forward to every time I had a sick day or a snow day. I've dreamt of going on that show, guessing prices of objects that I had no care for, and playing my favorite game, Plinko.
Here it comes, looking good, right looking good, looking good.
Saying something funny to Bob Barker or telling him my favorite joke. What's under the Pillsbury Doughboy's apron? Donuts! Watch him crack up and make my way to the wheel. Spinning and winning my way to the showcase.
Good, D, close, you got it! 8,965.
To get the Bahamas vacation for my family and me. The big dreams of a child. But quickly afterwards, I knew the drill. The local news was coming on. And so began the 30-minute countdown. The front room at Grandma's was no longer mine, and in 30 minutes she was taking it over because her shows were coming on, and I knew that was a time period you do not mess with her. Young and the Restless, the theme song is forever etched in my memory and occasionally plays constantly on repeat in my head. Victor and the gang took over the TV after local news. And did you know that Eric Braeden, the actor who plays Victor Newman, still does this show to this day? That's a big accomplishment. He's been on there since 1980. I knew there was no fight the TV remote had been given over. Grandma would be on her phone with whoever it was talking about her stories. Half the time I thought she was actually talking about real people because the way they discussed it, until I realized, like, holy crap, you're just talking about soap operas. Grandma came to realize I was probably going to aggravate or annoy her. So I was escorted to Papaw's room, which was empty as he was at work. I'd sit in his old worn-out recliner, sunken down in the butt divot he had created in the cushion from watching hours of NASCAR, surrounded by all his old NASCAR beer cans, beer steins, and his Honda Goldwing trophies. She'd hand me the remote. I'd watch the TV Guide channel to see what was on. You know, the channel that would scroll slowly down the TV listings. And just like the school closings, I'd end up zoning out, or I'd be watching the advertisement in the corner for the upcoming movie releases or wrestling pay-per-view. I'd usually end up on the Comedy Central watching stand-up or some show I probably shouldn't have been watching. And I had my finger ready on the remote to hit previous channel when Grandma would come back in to check on me during commercial breaks. After a while, I'd get restless and start exploring Papaw's room. I'd go to his 1970s looking bathroom with the green towel and the green bathtub, go through his stuff, look at his razors and smell his aftershave cologne, and then probably start pretending I was shaving, until I finally got bored enough to venture back into the living room, where by that time Bold and the Beautiful was on. In the 90s there was a ton of soap operas. By that time Grandma knew the battle was lost, and there was only one option, to give me access to outside. If I was there on a sick day, she probably knew I was faking anyways, and if it was a snow day, the worst thing that could happen was frostbite. And there was my chance. I ran outside, made it to my backyard, and went to my favorite spot. This is my fort. Dad built this around 1992, that thing, for my 7th birthday. Getting a little older, times kind of jumbled. But this is a place that me and my cousin would hang out. My neighbor, who was my best friend, would hang out, especially on days that we played hooky or a snow day. This was our sewer lair. Our bat cave. Our command center. On a snowy day, this is where I sniped the bad guys as James Bond, reenacting Surface Snow Level and GoldenEye. During the teenage years, this is where I came and had a pity party. Now, even sometimes as an adult, this is where I would come. This was my comfort spot, the base area that I would let my imagination run wild. What I wouldn't give for another snow day or sick day, one with no stress and nowhere to be, no concern about the repercussions. Another day at my grandma's, sitting in the chair, watching my favorite movies on VHS. Listening to the sounds of Nintendo echoing in a wood-paneled room. Another snowball fight in the backyard with my neighbor. One more microwave meal with a lemon lime Gatorade, with no rush and no care. We seem to have taken for granted days like that, acted as if we would forever have them. Maybe one day we will get another blissful little snow day.
The reason I'm out here freezing is because it's snowing. First time we've seen a good snow and I don't know when. I thought this would be a good time to record it. Might be the last chance we'll get. As you can see, it's already covering the ground and it hasn't been snowing for like 15 to 30 minutes already. There's the car, how it's covered. I'll take a little trip out towards the road and film a little bit there.